Today we're going to be getting the Platinum to The Last of Us Part 1, a game that needs absolutely no introduction. This game is pure cinema. If you've never played this game or played just a little bit of it, you've truly been missing out for the last 12 years of your life. I'm also on a journey to get 50 Platinums before April ends, and if I can't do that, then I have to Platinum My Name is Mayo too. And by the looks of it, that's probably going to happen. But I've been playing The Last of Us since God knows how long on my PS3, and I even got it when it remastered on PS4. And I almost got the Platinum on it until the online trophy stopped me. But The Last of Us Part 1 has zero multiplayer trophies at all. But not gonna lie, I do already have 4 of the trophies. I'm still gonna put in where I get those trophies, but it's just gonna look a little different. You'll find out when I get there. But it does have a few more trophies than in the remastered edition, clocking in at a total of 29 for the Platinum. But anyways, let's just get straight into it. Also, I'm sick, so don't make fun of me for how I sound. We start the game off with Joel and his daughter Sarah. It's Joel's birthday, and for a special occasion, Sarah gives Joel a watch so he can see just how much time she has left. Ha! No? Not funny? Okay, sorry. Once Sarah goes to sleep on the couch, Joel brings her up to her bed where she awakens to her call coming from her home phone, which for some reason is in her room. She answers the phone to hear Joel's brother Tommy talking about how much she needs to talk to him, and Sarah freaks out, so rightfully she goes to look for her dad. But too bad her dad is gone. It's too close to home game. We go head downstairs and find our Joel coming into the house and a friendly neighbor following close behind. But it's too bad that Joel isn't a fan of manners. Turns out our neighbor was infected with this thing called cordyceps. And what cordyceps does is it attaches to the brain and makes every human pretty much just horny for each other. We get into the car with Joel and Tommy and try to head out of the state, acting like nobody else would be doing this. We try to head into a different direction, but in the process, a car hits us, breaking Sarah's leg. And Joel has to run with her in our arms, which has a very emotional callback later. We separate from Tommy when he saves us from a horde of zombies, and then we get saved from this military soldier who kills these 2 zombies that were chasing us. As we go to thank the kind gentleman, he realizes he only needs 2 more kills before he can spawn in a UAV. But we get out of there just in the nick of time. Joel and Sarah barely escape, but it's alright because Tommy comes back and kills the soldier, and then I guess then just Joel escapes, and now it is 20 years later. And now Joel is an old man. We meet with Joel's friend Tess, and after 20 years we found out what they became is smugglers. And as smugglers, what they do is run things in and out of the quarantine zone, and right now they're looking for a man named Robert. This whole section is pretty much just a tutorial for what you're going to be doing throughout the whole game. You just learn the basics like healing, combat, and then also Joel's skills. Overall, this whole chapter is really boring, especially while on the replays. Although we do earn a trophy that I totally didn't already earn a year ago when we find a collectible called the Firefly Pendant. The Firefly Pendants are pretty much just pendants that were dropped when the Fireflies died. And the Fireflies are literally just a private militia that is being wiped out by the actual military. And no, that is not all the collectibles. There is a ton more. And all of the collectibles consist of 85 artifacts, 30 Firefly Pendants, 12 training manuals, 14 comics, and 5 tool level upgrades. And that's not even counting the optional conversations. Oh, okay, so apparently there's only 37 optional conversations. I thought it was way more, so never mind. Eventually, we find Robert in the crane yard, and we chase him down, where eventually we catch up to him, and he tells us that he stole our guns. Oh, Robert, that's not gonna fly. So now, after 20 years, Joel just hangs out with murderers, pretty much. And, like, Izum, but we won't talk about that. Don't do anything stupid, alright? We meet our next important character, Marlene. After this, we don't see her for the whole game, so who knows, maybe she's not that important, but she is at the same time. Honestly, she could have been replaced with anybody else. She knows where our weapons are and promises our guns back, but in return, we have to smuggle something for her. And what that is a 14-year-old girl named Ellie. And we're also not supposed to know why we're smuggling her, but Joel pretty much just sums it up perfectly.
You wanna know the best thing about my job? I don't gotta know why. To be honest with you, I give 2 shits what you're up to.
Well, great.
Fantastic. Now, actually taking Ellie across the border, we run into these 2 soldiers. They start scanning us, and Ellie attacks one with a knife, and we kill both of them. But then Joel picks up the infection detecting device thingy, and we find out that we're smuggling Ellie because she is infected. But she is immune, and she is also the key to saving humanity. But right now, Joel and Tess are not believing her story. After this, we run into a new enemy, and they're called Clickers. They're blind, they can't see, they're literally like bats. They use their echolocation, and they can only hear you. And this is the only interesting thing until we make it all the way to the Capitol building. And when we reach it, we find the Fireflies, but they are all dead. And just for the cherry on top, we found out that along our travels, Tess has been infected. And now this military group called Fedra is on our ass, which I did not give consent to. So what do? We leave Tess behind for her to die, and we get into a big shootout. We make it out alive, and we tell Ellie that we're gonna take her to the hospital so they could do whatever, you know, save the fucking humanity or whatever. But first, they need a car, and it's a good thing that Joel knows a guy. And in my opinion, this is where I really started to fall in love with the game. I remember when I first played this, before this, I was like, it's alright. But then when it got to Billstown, I was like, oh yeah, this game is like, it's starting to get good. Now, I'm not going to be reading off the script right now. I'm just going to be so genuine. Tess is she's just such a mid character. Like, I can't explain it. Like, there's just something about her. Obviously, she offers a lot to the story at the beginning, but then you never hear from her again. You know, you get one mention of her, I'm pretty sure, closer to the end of the game, but it's like at that point, I don't know. And now that Tess is gone, Joel and Ellie like are forced to talk to each other and stuff like that, so it just makes their bond so much better. And by the end, you already know they're gonna be best friends, but you're just trying to get it there like as soon as you can. But it's just such a fun like little roller coaster to ride, if that makes sense. I doubt it did. Once we're in Bill's town, when we get through it, we get caught on one of his traps, forcing us to kill the zombies upside down. When we get let down, we meet up with Bill and we tell him that we need a car, which he reluctantly tells us he'll help with. Joel helped him smuggle a bunch of shit out of the quarantine zone, so he kind of needs to help him. But it's in the same area where we earn another trophy called Self-Help, where we pick up a training manual. Would have rather have been a Playboy, but man, this works too. And after watching a little bit of the TV show, they really drastically changed Bill's character for this. Like, he's still a really big zest ball, but he's just so unlikable in this version. Bill tells us about a military truck that could have a battery in it, so that's where we head off to. But not before starting some brawls with zombies. The combat in this game is honestly insanely addicting. Once reaching the school, we get to the truck and find no battery! So now our only option is to find a running enough car. When leaving the school, we run into a new boss type enemy, which is called the Bloater. He's mean, not clean, and loves to flick his bean whenever he gets the chance, but we make quick work of him. After some more trouble, we make it to this house where we find Bill's ex-boyfriend dead by hanging after getting infected. We pick up a note of his which he talks about how much he hated Bill and couldn't stand him. We have the option to give Bill the note, and when we do, he crumbles it up and throws it. And if we pick it up again, we get another trophy. When the car won't start but shows some sign of life, we have Ellie get into the driver's seat and we bump start the car, sending us on our journey where Bill tells us to never speak to him again. On the car ride, we run into this injured man telling us to stop, but Joel knows a thing or two, so we completely run right through him and get hit by a bus. Turns out this was an ambush, and now we're in the middle of another shootout. This whole shootout is pretty tedious, but with my expert skills, I managed to do it in a timely manner. Making our way through this chapter, we get into a bus where we find the first of 5 comic books and our 4th and final trophy I got last year. We make it to the hotel, which has got to be the best part of the game scenery-wise, in my opinion. It's just really beautiful the way everything looks all overgrown. It just looks really old. It's just sick. When going through it, we remember how much room service we ordered and send the whole elevator crashing down and separating us from Ellie. We run into these new enemies called Stalkers who genuinely terrified me. They terrified me so much, I felt like John Lennon walking up in New York City when he had his stalker. But unlike him, we got out of it alive. And not too far after this, we find a kitchen where we find some sugar in this cupboard. And using the sugar, we craft a smoke bomb and craft ourselves up another trophy. We meet up with Ellie when Joel gets jumped and Ellie gets her first kill. And right outside, we give her a gun so she can get her first Moab. But knowing Joel, he tries to take it away from her and he succeeds. We make our way through this town where we have to dodge this gunner tank thing, and once we avoid it, we run into these survivors who Joel tries to kill before realizing
It's just a kid, bro.
and once we're on our way to their little hideout, we get the trophy, build them up, break them down for upgrading, and then breaking one of every melee weapon. After some reluctance, we decide to join alliances because they share the same goal of escaping the city. So we come up with a quick plan, and that night we try to execute it. Our first task is to get past this spotlight, and when we do that without getting spotted, we turn off the generator, giving me another trophy called Lights Out. We go through the gate and help everyone onto this ladder while that gunner tank tries to take the gate down. But unfortunately, the ladder breaks, meaning Joel can't get up. And Henry, without a second thought in his mind, ditches him. But Ellie is top tier queen, so she jumps down with us. Not too far after this, we make it to a bridge where a gunner tank tries to take us out. But luckily for us, we have heavy plot armor. We run out of road, so Ellie and Joel jump off the bridge, and Joel gets knocked out when he hits a rock. After coming to, he sees his savior, Henry. Joel rightfully gets mad, but gets less mad when Henry makes a pretty good point.
If it was the other way around, would you have come back for us?
True. So we continue on our same goal and start to head through the sewers. While editing this, I realized so far every platinum video I've made has featured a sewer, minus one of them. I don't know why games utilize them so much, but whatever, I guess. In the sewer, we reach this area where we have to get Sam and Henry across this area with a ton of water, because apparently we can't take them on the pallet like we did with Ellie. Oh shit, I just realized I never mentioned that Ellie can't swim. Oh well. Once we get the power going, we get a trophy for taking a ride with them. Eventually, we get separated, and Henry and I switch kids. And the first thing that happens is we get jumped by a bunch of zombies. And when we clear them, we find Henry and Ellie, who are also getting jumped by some zombies. We make our way to the front door and hold out until Ellie opens the door. And now we're in a nice quiet town. And in this quiet town, I get 2 trophies, and that is for fully upgrading a weapon and opening all the safes. We're making our way through it. We start getting sniped by some guy at the end of the street. And in a very intense moment of running down the street while being sniped at, we make it to the house and kill the guy. A big horde of infected infected combined start attacking Ellie, Henry, and Sam gets jumped by this one clicker. If for sure, we save him. Once everyone gets died, we hide out for the night in this house and get a little foreshadow of tomorrow morning. And what's to come on a beautiful sunny day? All you could ever ask for, like shooting your brother and yourself. And now we're on our way to meet Tommy. And Tommy hasn't talked to Joel in years because of a little falling out. We make it to like this electronic dam thing, they said, I'm pretty sure, I don't remember. But once we make this little bridge for us, we dodge Ellie's high five and we get a trophy. And a little while later, we meet up with Tommy and get greeted with a little warm embrace. We get taken on a tour of Tommy's little community, and Tommy shows Joel a picture of Sarah, saying he's kept this to give to him. And this is the first mention of Sarah since the start of the game. And honestly, I did forget about her until this point, so don't get mad at me for that. Joel refuses the picture, but then we continue on to the tour. We see how they're trying their best to rebuild humanity, and when on this tour, we pass by a good boy and get the trophy, who's a good boy. We reach a room where we talk to Tommy about taking Ellie off of Joel's hands and bringing her to the Fireflies, because Tommy is like an ex-Firefly, so he'll know where they are. When he refuses, they get into it and start getting attacked by some people outside. We shoot our way through the whole area and find Maria, Tommy's wife, and Ellie under some fire. We kill all of them, of course, and Tommy tells Maria about taking in Ellie, and she doesn't take kindly to this. Ellie hears all this, so she ends up dipping and stealing a horse in the process. And now it's up for Tommy and I to find her. When we do, she's in this house, and Ellie gets mad at Joel for wanting to just get rid of her in a truly emotional scene where Ellie tells Joel she's not his daughter. And Joel retaliates with, "You're right. You're not my daughter. And I sure as hell ain't your dad." Chat, save me from the waterworks! But it gets cut short when some dude's running after us and we kill them. After this, Tommy tells us that he won't take Ellie off of her hands, but he tells us where the Fireflies are, and he says they're at a college university. And all that's there for us is a couple puzzles for us to solve and a really cool stealth type section with a bloater. Either way, we make it to the building where the Fireflies are, but it turns out they've turned into monkeys. Just kidding, guys, there's no Fireflies anywhere. We see a light and start getting shot at, and now a bunch of meanies know our location. They try to kill us, and the key word is try, because we make it through the lot of them. Eventually, we get to this door where one of them takes us by surprise and takes him and Joel down 2 stories, but Joel falls on some rebar and is crazy injured. And while we hobble around severely injured, Ellie protects us, killing a bunch of people. We get outside and Ellie puts Joel on a horse and Joel falls off said horse. And now we're Ellie. As Ellie, our first objective is to kill this deer, where we take a couple shots at it with a bow and arrow. We chase it and find it dead, but we also find these 2 dudes named David and the other guy. Honestly, I forget his name. Ellie makes a trade with them, and that trade is a deer for some medicine. While the other guy fetches some medicine, David and I talk, and not too long after that, a bunch of infected come out of nowhere, and David and I fight them off as much as possible. After we get through the waves, we sit down with David, and David tells us he knows about Joel and Ellie. He tells us that we killed a bunch of his men at some point. And when other guy comes in and gives us the medicine, we leave, where hopefully they won't find us. Ellie makes it back to Joel, who's still alive, and she gives him the medicine. The next morning, David's guys come to find us from our horse tracks, and we dip out on our horse and lead them away from Joel. But at some point, our horse gets shot, and now we're in the middle of a ton of people. While going through them, David kidnaps us, and when we come to, we find out that David and friend are cannibals. David gets weirdly pervy with her, and she breaks his finger, and now Joel is up, and the next cutscene is actually fucking crazy. It's gotta be my favorite cutscene in the game, and it's when Joel finds these 2 guys and holds them hostage. He tortures them to find out where Ellie is, and it's just fucking brutal. Like, I can't explain. It's just awesome. You see Joel's dad come out. And when Ellie wakes up, it's her turn to get eaten, but she gets out of it by saying she's infected. She distracts them and kills other guy and is now on the run. Ellie makes it to this diner where David finds her, and we have a stealth boss fight section. And side rant, these 2 games have 0 correlation, but this is how I wish the final boss in Batman Arkham Asylum was instead of what we got. Anywho, we sneak up on him and stab him, and we get knocked out. We get back to Joel as he finds the whole diner on fire, and then immediately cut back to Ellie as she's violently murdering this dude. And Joel comforts Ellie like she is his own. And now it's spring, and we can tell Ellie is dealing with some PTSD from this, and low-key it's heartbreaking. But other than a couple lines, it's not really discussed. We spot the hospital from afar and go through this abandoned quarantine zone, and in it we find my final tool getting me the trophy. And when we go into this underpass, we get our final training manual and our final workbench, both giving us trophies. While trying to get to the hospital, we fall into this bus and Ellie falls into the water, partially drowning. Joel saves her and tries to give her CPR but gets knocked out, and when he wakes up, he sees Marlene and she says she's alive and being prepped for surgery. You know, this was our goal, so they can save humanity or whatever. But it's gonna come at a cost, and that cost is that Ellie dies. And this does not sit right with Joel. He lost a daughter, he's not gonna lose one again. So Joel goes mad, killing every soldier in the hospital, and during this rampage, I get the trophies for unlocking every shiv door and getting all the Firefly pendants. Once we find Ellie, we kill the doctor, which was totally the right goal, and we save Ellie. And this is that callback I was talking about at the start of the video. But we run into Marlene, and the cutscene where we talk to her cuts to Joel and Ellie driving away. And he tells Ellie that there's a ton of people like her, for sure. And we get a little hint of what he did to Marlene. Once this is done, we're back as Ellie heading to this community called Jackson. And while on our way, we run into this last comic book, and we get a trophy for finding all the comics. And Ellie smells something fishy, so she tells Joel to swear to her that everything he said about the Fireflies was true. And he swears, ending the game and getting us that final main story trophy. Now we're on to the DLC, which I'm not going to talk too much about, because I'm not really going to talk about DLC when it comes to games. All I'm going to say is that this takes place a little bit before Joel's story, but it also cuts into when Joel fell on the rebar. But mainly this is just about Ellie's story and how she got affected. But our first trophy is obtained when we win a brick throwing contest where we try to be the first to break all the car windows. And right after this, we get a trophy for hearing all of Ellie's jokes, and then we get another one for listening to all the optional conversations. Then we reach an arcade where we fake play this arcade game, and for beating it without taking any damage, we get another trophy. Then we win this gunfight, and you guessed it, another trophy. And then finally, throughout the whole game, finding all the artifacts, we get another trophy. And then we get a trophy that doesn't involve collectibles. And that trophy is called Live Bait, and it's for luring a zombie to attack a human. And then after this, all there was to complete the DLC, which we did. And after the whole game, I missed one trophy, and that was also in the arcade. And it's right after we watch Ellie play this game. And when we get that trophy, boom, platinum. And while I did get the platinum, it took me a while to edit this, not for any specific reason. I've just been working a ton, but it is May 9th, so I have failed the challenge by a long shot. So here's me getting the My Name is Mayo 2 platinum trophy. I honestly have no one to blame but myself. I'm literally getting trophies so fast, it's taking so long. $9,999 clicks. I can say after this many clicks, my girlfriend's definitely gonna be happy with me for how strong my fingers have gotten. Boom. The most beautiful secret. And then platinum. My name is Mayo II. Why'd I get it twice?